Hey guys, Helen Hartsmith here again from the Heart of the Witch's Path YouTube channel. Hope you're having a good day, because I am. If you're in the Northern Hemisphere, hopefully spring has sprung for you. We're fingers crossed, having some cool temperatures yet, but I don't know why I always end up talking about weather. I don't know. Maybe I wanted to be a meteorologist in a past life. Who knows? Anyhow, I am here to do a video today that is a book review. And it's actually a video that I have really been anticipating recording ever since I started reading this book. I anticipated that it was going to be really good, and it was, and so therefore it makes me super excited. So without further ado, the book that I'm going to be talking about is BAM! The Witch's Journey. The Witch's Journey, Cutting the Cords of Christian Dogma by Elaanie S. Now, Elaanie is actually a fellow graduate and high priestess of the Temple of Witchcraft, and she sent this book to me to check out. And so if you follow me like on Instagram, I've shared a couple of little snippets and paragraphs that I enjoyed and things like that. And I have to admit that I have to admit a couple of things. The first thing is that it's taken me way too long to read this book. And for that, I apologize. It's just, I'm not like the super fast reader, and sometimes when life gets a little busy, then reading is not something that I get to do very often. So that's like the first thing that I'm kind of apologetic about, is that it took so long to finish it. And then I'm also very sorry about the condition of this book. I'm pretty hard on books, and I recognize that, but that's because I read them hard. Let's put it that way. You know that it is a book that I have thoroughly loved, or wanted to finish so badly that I took it everywhere with me and it just got ravaged. And that's kind of what happened with this particular book. So let's talk about some of the facts of this particular book. So this book is copyright 2017, and it comes in right at 200 pages. And so that couldn't have been planned better, right? So Elaanie, I'm not even sure where to begin. This book, it took me on an incredible journey. It feels like that this book is really like the culmination of Elainie's journey to where she stands today on her path. And so, without giving a lot of stuff away, I'll kind of hit the high points and tell you things that really impressed me about this book. I was raised in a Christian home, and so I've talked about this many times, how the way in which I found myself practicing witchcraft and identifying as a witch was a very natural thing for me. It was just a natural progression. I didn't have this terrible story about being mistreated, or a horror story about a Christian upbringing, or anything like that. It was a very natural, wonderful, flowing journey for me. And I'm very grateful for that, because I know that there are many out there who don't have that experience. And Elaanie is actually one of them, in a sense. Not that something horrific happened, but there is, well, I guess I shouldn't have even really said that. She was raised in a religious home, and had that kind of mindset that she wanted to have faith. You know, having a spiritual path meant something to her. And so she she really walked the path of Christianity for a large part of her life. And when it wasn't serving her needs, that's when she started looking elsewhere. And so, first of all, you have to applaud her bravery for, saying, okay, this isn't enough, and I mean, she tried numerous congregations, numerous places, even because she moved and things like that. And yeah, I mean, the story itself is like pretty intense. I found myself laughing at times. I definitely cried at times with her, and I also saw some reflection in the search kind of thing, because there was a bit of that, like, because I had Wiccan thoughts, but I didn't know that they were Wiccan until I kind of got into it. But I just really felt a connection with Elaanie on her journey. And so that, I think, is like what touched me the most about this book, was just how personal it was, and how authentic, and how raw, and how learned it was, because this woman is not just someone who was raised in a Christian household and like talked the talk kind of a thing. She walked the walk too. I mean, she quotes scripture like no pagan I've ever came into contact with. I think that, a lot of pagans, we have a knowledge of Christianity because so many of us, that's our background. But I mean, I thought that I knew the Bible, but I don't know the Bible like she knows the Bible. And so that spoke volumes to me about how much she tried to make Christianity work for her. And when it didn't, she started looking elsewhere. And so it's a great book, and I love it. And what I really like too is that, for someone, this is a really good book for someone who comes from a similar background, but I also think that it's a really interesting book to share with maybe like that family member who's Christian and doesn't understand why you aren't, and why you have chosen to be pagan rather than Christian. I think that it answers questions, or explains things, and it really kind of tells, in the telling of her story, she answers, or talks about different things, like the difference between polytheism and monotheism, and what the pentacle is, and witchcraft versus Satanism, and what the pentacle is, and things like that, so that like I said, this would be a good book for someone who has that Christian connection and doesn't understand why their pagan family member isn't Christian still. I cannot recommend this book enough. And so I guess it goes without saying that I will put a link in the description box that to take you to Amazon. This is from I believe that this is probably from a small publishing company, because the publishing company is the Witches Weeds LLC. But that I think is kind of interesting too. I would kind of like to check out the Witches Weeds and see, what else they might have available. So that kind of intrigues me as well. As someone who likes to write, as and what's out there for publishing ideas. So yeah, like I said, I don't want to give away too many of the details, but again, a very frank, a very real, a very personal story is told in these pages. And let's talk about brooms. I don't like to toss out a 5 broom very often because I like to reserve it for something that goes that extra mile, so to speak. And I really have to say that this book, it definitely, yes, it took me a long time to read it, but that's not because the content wasn't good. And it was, like I said, it was just really, it touched something inside me. And so I know that a few of you out there have kind of responded to my Instagram posts and said, I've already ordered mine, or, you know, what have you. And so I hope that you check this book out. I think we need to give, it's important to give, you know, any New Age or Wiccan author, you know, love and support. But, you know, there's a special kinship that I feel for those guys, those little guys that maybe aren't being published by Llewellyn and things like that. And so this is definitely a recommend. I am giving this 5 brooms for sure. So I encourage you to go out and check out this book. I highly recommend it. It's a good read. If you read way better than me, it'll be a quick read. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did and like me to continue to do more book reviews, I would be happy to do so. I've made it a part of my goal list this year. I'm trying to read a book a month, which is kind of a struggle for me sometimes with my schedule. So we will see how that goes. But if you did enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel. Trying to find lots of new content. So if you have any questions about anything, feel free to put that in the comments below, or feel free to email me at heartofthewitchespath@yahoo.com. I know the link in the description box isn't working properly, and I'm trying to figure out why. So if the link doesn't work, then just know that it's heartofthewitchespath@yahoo.com, okay? There's also links in that description box for the social media accounts, both the Facebook page and the Instagram, both for me and for Kathy. Kathy's Instagram is down there too. So check those out, okay? That's going to be it for this video. Thank you for watching, and thank you for walking the path for a little while with me. Until next time, blessed be.